Hey guys, Yasil here, back with another video. As you can see, I've been busy printing on my new Creality Ender 3. This is going to be the second part of the useful prints for 2018. Okay, so starting with one of the most interesting prints that I've done on the Ender 3, and I must say one of the more easier prints has been this headphone stand and let me get it in camera. This cell phone stand, and as you can see, they're made up of multiple parts, and it's called a modular mounting system on Thingiverse. I'll have the link in the description. But what is amazing that the designer that posted this on Thingiverse really went to really designed this pretty well, because each part takes a few hours to print instead of having a single thing that'll print over a very long period of time that could potentially fail. I mean, the guy also, the person that uploaded this and shared it on Thingiverse included everything down to even the nuts and bolts. And I have printed that and I've tried it. They do work, but you're gonna have to tighten these quite a bit. So I do recommend using proper metal nuts and bolts. But I'm using this as my headphone stand, on my desk daily, and it works perfectly well. You don't it doesn't take as long as the previous headphone stand that I made. I think that was by MakerBot. And there's so many different things you can use this for, and each thing is like I said, modular. There's a ton of parts that come with the print. This is a configuration for a headphone stand. I printed this as a cell phone stand that I can use this G clamp on a table or any surface. And I was looking at potentially using this as a mount for doing time lapses on the 3D print, or even using something to record YouTube videos. Mounting this to your to the desk and then having the phone clamp in here. As you can see, there was a bit of warping here, so I used a lighter to try and bend this back into shape, but it works. I mean, yeah. So there's a good example. You can see that screw is completely printed. That's not using a metal screw. I printed that screw with the files provided. Everything is provided in the modular mounting system Thingiverse, thing. So yeah, really hats off to the guy that shared that on Thingiverse. It's been such an awesome thing to print at home, and I've been really impressed with the quality of the prints, let alone from the printer, but more so from the design of this. Because if you look at this is the typical GoPro mounting style configuration. So you can mount a GoPro on this. You can mount multiple different attachments to this to use for whatever use case you have. So this headphone stand and the cell phone stand was a really useful print. I recommend it to anyone. It's really simple. So yeah, give it a shot. If you guys have a 3D printer, really go ahead and try. So yeah, this was definitely one of the most useful and interesting prints that I've done so far on the Ender 3. Okay, so you guys would have seen this before, the cell phone or tablet stand. I printed another one because the one I had previously was in orange, and since I only have blue at the moment, blue PLA that I'm using, I looked a bit odd amongst all the other things that I printed, so I went ahead and printed this. Yeah, super useful. I mean, you'll always find a use for this for a tablet or a cell phone stand. One thing that I haven't printed before is this little guy. So this is super useful. Let me just take this out. So this is a solder stand that you can use. I managed to squeeze 100 gram rolls of solder on here. Fits perfectly. I'm not sure if a 500 gram the broader roll will fit here. I haven't tried that. I don't have one. But I mean, for using 100 gram rolls, works perfectly well. This was all printed. It's included. The files are included in the print. It's all it's super easy. There wasn't any. I didn't print this with supports, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, I mean, this is a dream when soldering. The last thing you want is to, uh, try and unroll extra solder. It's just easy to use, and you know what? You can print it using your 3D printer, and yeah, something an addition you can use in your workshop. So that was really really cool. And yeah, so let's look at some of the not so useful things that I've printed. So this would fall into, I think, between useful and just a fun print to make. This is actually half done. What's missing here is a plant. So this is an Oddish little pot plant. Oddish, the Pokemon, and the legs are completely, they printed separately and they just clip in. Yeah, so it didn't print that amazing. I used 0.2 and I was printing a bit fast. So there are some lines, visible lines you can see on the Z-axis. Yeah, so the Ender 3, I'm jumping around, but the Ender 3 did come with some issues. It wasn't like the perfect printer out of the box. There was a lot of calibration, especially under extrusion. I will talk about that in I'm gonna do a review about the Ender 3, discussing the upgrades I've done and stuff that might some common issues that many people have solved online already. But moving on, so looking at some of the smaller prints that I've done on the Ender 3 that came out pretty well. Just trying to get the camera to focus. There we go. So here you can see this little guy is I think it's called Marvin. It's a Marvin keychain. There we go. Actually, I just need to put my hand so you can focus. So yeah, this I printed in 0.1 millimeter layer height. Printed pretty well. I mean, apart from the lines, you can see that's barely visible when you move it in the light, and you just get the right angle of light. This was printed in 0.2 low poly Squirtle. Yeah, so this was one of the early prints before I've done some modifications on the Ender 3 to prevent some of the under extrusion and some of the Z banding or Z banding. Here's a little Eevee, printed really well. So I mean, look, the printer out of the box can perform really well. It's not going to be, my ANET A8 did take a lot of work to get some decent prints out of it. Although it did print pretty well after spending many hours on it. The Ender 3, I must say, I've been impressed with it. It's not, like the printer that you can just turn on, print, and out of the box just print amazingly well. You will need to give some time into calibrating it. So this was this fox that I printed. I think I got it off My Mini Factory or Thingiverse. I'm not sure. I'll have the link in the description. I printed this a bit slower. I think it was 45 millimeter per second and at 0.1 millimeter layer height. But you can see this printed really well. I mean, except for the top, the ears, there was a bit of stringing. Sorry about this focusing at the top of the print. But apart from that, it printed amazingly well. And like I said, this was before I installed better couplers, which is a common problem for the under extrusion. And the only thing that's left is these some Vase mode rockets. This was printed before any of the upgrades, but you can't really see. I mean, this looks perfect on camera. If you really look at this close enough, you will see some lines. You might be able to see a bit there. But this was a print that I've done recently in Vase mode or Vase mode, sliced in Simplify 3D, and I think it's the Spannerhands. I think it's done by Spannerhands, but this printed really well. I mean, it's hard to see any visible lines on the Z-axis, and this was after I installed the better couplers. Fixed the clog I had in my nozzle. So yeah, so look, the printer does have a really good potential. That was enough talking about prints that aren't so useful. The purpose of this video was actually just to show you guys what I've printed recently that's been useful. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm going to be doing a review of the Ender 3 pretty soon, and I'm going to be talking about the upgrades I've done and the different issues I had in the beginning. And I've been really enjoying the printer so far. It's been super reliable. It takes some time to do all the calibration, but you know what, it works out. It's worth it in the when you get prints that are of this quality. So anyway, thanks for watching. If you have any suggestions, leave them in the comments below. Hit a thumbs up if you like it, or thumbs down if you don't. But thanks for watching, guys. Cheers.